Now let's understand what is state and what are the uses of it, and how you can attach a state to a component, and how you can change the state, and what happens when the state is changed, and why is it that state is so important that in a React component it determines how the React component is rendered. Okay, so taking this example where we have one main component and two child components that are ordered list and unordered list, right? So as I said, defining state is only possible in the class components. So defining state is only possible in the class components and it is not possible in the functional components. So that is one major difference between function and class components. So how do you define state? So right now you are defining the names. Basically this is the data owned by that component, but why is it different? Why is it different from a normal state? Okay, so first we'll see what is state, and then after understanding how state works, then we will come back and verify or validate our point that why can't we declare the data in such a fashion and why is it not useful for us. Okay, so instead of declaring this as in this fashion, what I'll be doing is I will store it in this dot state. So this dot state, so when you declare a state, you use this keyword, this dot state, and inside this, you can store any number of data. So basically this data might be coming from the backend, okay, and anything, right? So this data can be coming from backend or any other server, or any you are reading from a file, etc. Okay, so I have this dot state dot names now, right? And again, I will be passing the same data by applying the logic. So let me bring out the logic. So instead of this dot even names, now I'll call as this dot state dot names. So whatever object key I have given, names is the object key, right? So similarly, I will pull out this logic to filter odd elements and place it over here, right? So everything is same. Only the difference is that previously we stored it directly instead of storing in state. Okay, so this dot state dot names and this dot state dot names. So here we are filtering the even elements and here we are filtering the odd elements. Okay, now if you look, okay, there is small issue. We'll see what is that issue. Don't worry, errors are common to us. So how do you read the errors is also very important. So module build failed and it is saying token unexpected. So whenever you get errors, you read the errors first. So maximum 99% by reading the error carefully, you will understand what is wrong and you can easily solve it. So it is saying unexpected token at the line number 35 cross 90. Okay, so where it is 35 over here. So it is already giving me an indication, but I have ignored it. Yes, now everything looks clean, and yes, so you didn't observe any change. So when you define the state and when you haven't defined the state, it is pretty same, right? But why is it important to define in state? Because let's say I'm adding a small button over here. Okay, I'm adding a button over here, right? And click me. Okay, so I added a button, so it is a button, and for now I'll remove the CSS. Okay, yeah, okay, so I'll remove all the unnecessary things which are there. Yes, so now it is click me and the ordered list and the unordered list. Now why is it important to define in the state? Okay, so let's say when this button is clicked, Okay, I'm attaching the on-click event handler. Let's learn about event handlers in a bit while. Okay, but for now, when this on-click is clicked, right? When this on-click is clicked, I'm calling a function. Okay, so what is that function? Change the order or sort the array. Okay, so basically I'm calling this function this dot. So this is how you implement actions, event handlers. So basically there is a button which when clicked on sorts the array. Okay, so what is that array? Names array. So I'm basically sorting it based on the alphabetical order. Okay, so what it technically means, I'm changing the state of the component. Okay, I'm changing the state of the component. So the first thing which you always need to remember is always change the state using the function set state. So React has given as a inbuilt function which is called as set state, because you cannot directly do this dot names dot sort. You cannot do this, or you cannot directly change the array in this fashion. This dot state dot names is equal to this dot state dot names dot sort, and for sorting I'm using the logic a minus b. Okay, so you cannot change the elements inside the state directly this way. So it is already giving an error. See, do not mutate the state directly. Use the set state function. So always remember, you cannot change the values inside the state object directly. Please keep this in mind. And if you're not following this, so if you're not following this, always change the state using set state function, because you need to understand, because, right, set state, when state is changed using the set state function, React enforces all the child components to re-render. Exactly, right? So as you can see, the child components are nothing but they are deriving the data from the parent's state. So the child components props are nothing but the state of the parent component. So when the state is changed and using the function set state, what React does is it checks the hierarchy and enforces all the child components to re-render again. So that is why if you are directly changing in this fashion, React would never know that there is a state change happened in the application, and it will never re-render the children components or the parent component, and you will still see the old data, right? So that is why it is very important to define the data which is going to change in the state. So all the data inside the component which might change should be defined in the state, so that when some action happens in the browser or in your web application, then you can use this function, this dot set state, okay, and names is equal to this dot state dot names dot sort. I'm sorting in ascending order, so this is the normal way you sort an array in JavaScript. Okay, so what did I do? So when there is a button, okay, there is a button which when clicked on will change the sorting order of the names array, and after that the other elements, the other components which are child components of the main component should re-render. So when this function is clicked, so when this button is clicked, you're calling this sort array function, which actually changes the sorting order. I mean, it ascends them in the ascending order. So what am I doing right now? When this button is clicked, I'm sorting this array, and what am I expecting? The ordered list and the unordered list, the elements passed to that, because the array is completely restructured, and now the elements present in 0th and 1 index might change, and that's how ordered and unordered list will indicate that there is a data change and I have to re-render. So let me see that. Okay, so I'm refreshing my page, right? And I'm clicking on the click me. See, now when I clicked on the button, the data has changed. So first, the Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Vision are in the ordered list, and second, when Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wanda in the unordered list. Right now, after clicking this button, they are arranging themselves in the ascending order, that is alphabetically. So see, the data has changed, and also it re-rendered the both children components. Okay, that is important. So whenever there is an action happening in your browser, so somebody clicked and some API made or some timer happened, anything, in any of these cases, the data, whenever the data changes, the React enforces all of these child to re-render. So see, what I'll do is I'll render the state. Okay, console.log this dot state. Okay, this dot state, and in both the components I'll console.log this dot props. Okay, this dot props. Okay, so see, first this dot state has array, this dot props has array this. Yeah, first in the main parent component you have this dot names, which has 7 elements, and the order is Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, and that's why you are seeing all of this, right? And in the props you have superheroes, which is 4, and the first ordered list is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Vision according to this order, right? And similarly the second element as well, right? Now when I'm clicking on the button, see, again the render function is called. So whenever there is a state change, so where is this console.logs? These console.logs are in the render function, right? So whenever there is a state change, React is forcing the child components to re-render. So that is very important, right? See, whenever there is a state change, React is forcing the components to re-render. So here there is a catch, right? In the first click, the data is getting changed, so it is fine. You're re-rendering the component. But in the second click, also it is re-rendering, which is a very bad. Though there is no data change, it is re-rendering, which we will understand when we discussed list and case. So there is a way how you handle list and case. That is what you are seeing the array warnings here as. Each child in a list should have a unique key. So we'll understand when we are learning list and keys in the React.js. Okay, so why is it advantageous to define the state? Because whenever there is a state change, React automatically enforces all of its children element to re-render. Okay, but now let me do this. Instead of defining the state the other way around, right? We might have this small hope, okay, why can't I do this in this, or maybe everything will work the same way as expected, right? So see, same way I'm doing. Okay, I'm storing the data in a normal variable, that is this dot names. Okay, and instead of set state, I'm using this dot names equal to this dot names dot sort. Okay, and now I'm directly accessing it without the state because I haven't defined in the state. And when the on click happens, I'm sorting this array. Okay, so now I'm console.logging this.names over in the render. Okay, and I will also console.log this.names inside the function. Okay, after sort and console.log this.names before sort. Okay, so now let me go back to my component UI and see. I'm clicking on the button. The function has been called and the order has also been changed. So the before sort, the order is this: Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America. Now the order has changed: Captain America, Hulk. The order has changed, but nobody enforced these two components to re-render again, because we never intimated React that there is a state change or there is any data change in your application. So when you define a data which is going to change, it is always recommended to put it inside the state so that React observes the changes and calls the render functions of all the children elements. This is very important, guys. And one other important thing which you need to know is react.setState function. So let me go back to my previous time, how the code it is. So when you are setting the state, let's say you have a lot of values over here, right? Like all of these. Inside the state, you can store any big object, right? You can store any big object. So like this. Okay. So like this. Okay. So when you have a lot of properties inside the set state and you are updating in this fashion, what it does is it only considers what needs to be updated, and rest all properties will be passed down. So they are not overwritten. So in the this.setState function, you are passing an object. What it does is technically, so this is actually equal to, right? This is actually equal to previous state, comma. So whatever the previous state has been there with this new state. So setState function doesn't delete any keys. So you can only update those keys which are needed, and remaining all other keys which are present inside the state, they are not overwritten. So this is one catch which you need to keep in mind. So don't worry. Now I am changing all of these properties, right? So I'm just changing the state this.names, and I'm not passing these two properties over here. It doesn't mean these two will be deleted from the state at a later stage. So I'll just show you that one as well, right? So in the first state, this.state, I have company names and owner, right? And when I click on the button, I do still have company names, but the order has been changed now. So this.state set state doesn't touch any of the other keys. It only takes care of the key which is present. Okay. And if I add any other new value over here, like this country. So if you add any new property in the setState function, it directly adds to the state object. So see, I clicked on here. So now it has 4 keys. So setState function always, what it does in this fashion: previous state, whatever this.state was there earlier, and it ignores all of the previous state and freshly appends these two. So if the key is already existent, it overrides the value of that, and if it is not existent, it adds to that key. That's it. So these are the different important concepts which you need to remember in terms of state. Okay, so let's recollect all of those again, what we have learned. So state is the data owned by the component. Okay, whenever you want to change the state, you always use the function setState, which is inbuilt. Okay, when state is changed using the setState function, React enforces all the child / main component to re-render and update the UI with the latest data, right? So when the state is changed using set function, React enforces all the child and main components to re-render and update the UI with the latest data. setState function appends the data to the existing state object, which means if the key is already present, it overwrites. If it is not present, it creates the key. So these are the main points which you need to remember, guys, about the state and setState. And yeah.